How did the audience react to this?
I think they were interested. Huh? They were.
Yeah, people were speechless. In some of the data that he was presenting, you know, like I was walking around because I was identifying people to be, you know, honored that they were there, and then people were speechless. I went to a table and they didn't want to talk to me. They wanted to listen to him.
Also because it was it's a brand new study. So it's the data is very new. It was a real, for a lot of us, a real update on data that we had known that was perhaps 10 or 12 years old. No. So it was really 21st century presentation.
And he did it with graphics, so you could
Absolutely.
actually see, see the changes.
Right. What about the night event?
But before you go to the night event, I want to say that Javier did a wonderful presentation on the history of the Puerto Rican department. Wonderful, wonderful. So I wish that can be in black and white soon, Javier.
Okay. Historic. What happened during the night event? You had a very famous poet. What exactly happened during the whole ceremony?
Well, at 6, first we had a reception with a dinner and a performance by the Lehman College Jazz Band.
Jazz band.
A full band. They played for about 45 minutes or so, and we were able to mingle and just share over dinner and drink, I must say. And then we had a very successful, very wonderful evening. The president of Lehman College Ricardo Fernandez, offered some introductory remarks, and he was followed by our 2 distinguished guests that evening, the Ambassador Rubén Beltrán, the Consul General of Mexico, and our keynote speaker, Carol Robles Román, Deputy Mayor for University Relations and the Secretary of the Board of Trustees of the City University. Oh, I'm sorry, the Deputy Mayor for Legal Affairs and a Trustee of the City University of New York. And both speeches were wonderful, extremely moving. They were very, very eloquent remarks by our distinguished speakers. And the evening ended with a performance by a very well-known and very important poet, Puerto Rican poet, Tato Laviera.
And speaking of Tato Laviera, we have footage of his speech, his poetry, and I'd like for us to roll that and show the audience, and then maybe you can reflect on it a bit, so please.
And we have a lot of black and white, and respect, no lo está haciendo bien. So, the next one, lo hacen bien. Respect. And we have a lot of black and white and yellow and red people whom we befriend. We Boricuas are ready to love with you. That's why we say, let there be no prejudice on race. Color is generally colorblind to us. That is our contribution. All the colors attached to our ones. Because we are a people who love to love. We are a people who love to love. Respect our people who love to love. We are a people who love to love. But we must fight the bad intention. We must respect each other's value. But guess what? We are not the only ones. And we offer you what your love has taught us and what we are worth in our self-respect. Para terminar, dijeron, we are people who love to love. We are people who love to love. Terminar, we are people. Sácalo, sácalo. Arriba, we are the people. Bring the rope. To love. Arriba. Re is. And we mix all that is good. American integrating in New York and in America, but we are defining our own destino, our own way of life.
This is a man who represents the history of Puerto Rico in the Bronx. And we will be going to a break soon, but I want each one of you to kind of reflect on Tato and give me your thoughts on him. Starting with you, Miss Fiolmata.
Tato Laviera is one of our greatest poets. Puerto Rican, Caribbean, American, Latin American. He is very well known in particular for a book of poems called American, and he's one of the best sold poets, and it's very hard to sell poetry books in general. And his book, American, has had a lot of success in the book market. And also he was one of the, well, the first title to come out, or one of the very first, right?
It was the first title that inaugurated Arte Público Press in Houston, which is the biggest Latino press in the United States.
He recited a bit of that poem in the...
Yes.
Yes, what you saw at the end
Right.
was, and he recited the entire poem. And of course he's a poet, and he's also a spoken word artist. So it's not just reading it on the page, which I teach these poems regularly in my courses. But when you hear him and you see him perform it, that's when you get the total experience of the work of art, which we were able to have for a very nice, about 20 or 25 minutes of his performance there. And we were all moved. And what you saw in the first segment was audience participation, which is part of his aesthetic. It's not just his, but he kind of shares and brings everybody
Brings everyone in,
Yes.
right? Thank you so much, Professor.